I'm going to talk about how going all in on my startup helped me go all in on my life and actually helped me rebuild a lot of my life and who I am as a person. So if I start crying, I'm sorry in advance. It's going to be a heavy one for me. So before I get into that, right now I am the co-founder of Crescendo, also the CTO. We're a behavior change platform for diversity and inclusion. That Woo was my co-founder and CEO, Daniel Tuba D'Souza, so talk to him. Yeah, We're going to see pictures of him as well, so we'll get to that. But we have a storytelling-focused approach to helping teams foster belonging and inclusion at work. So I wanted to talk about going all in, not just on your idea, but also in your team and in your life as a whole. So now that I'm about 1.5 years into my startup journey as a founder, I know that's still very early, but it feels like 5 years of regular life. I mentor early stage startups or even people who are pre-startups. So those of you who are in large corporations or in school who are burning with that passion and idea, but don't really know if you're ready. Oh, that's not up there, but on my thing here it says, how do I know when I'm ready? I get this question all the time. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I answered that for myself. How many of you are in the corporate world right now? That's a lot of you. I was in there as well. I was there for 4 years, and I loved it at first. I thought it was the best thing. I felt like I was truly making an impact on the world, and coming from school, jumping into a large corporation early on helped me to get a global stage and get a global voice. But after 4 years, that started to go away. And I no longer felt like my time spent working 8 to 12 hours a day in a large corporation was the most impactful use of my hours. Part of the reason that I felt that way was in 2014, my mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And by 2017, which was almost the whole duration of me working at that company, we were told, you should start measuring her life in months. End of 2017 rolls around, and now I'm in a weird predicament where I'm feeling like I get up every morning and I dedicate my life to someone else's dream, to someone else's passion, someone else's goals, metrics, KPIs. Meanwhile, I'm leaving the house for so long, I'm traveling the world, and it's great for my personal growth, but I'm leaving this incredible woman behind. And now, an hour for her is a significant percentage of the time that we have together. So I applied for Next 36, and I'm happy to have heard that mentioned quite a few times tonight. Next 36 is for people who have recently graduated or who are currently in school, and it was actually there that I met my co-founders through the selection process. So there's Tuba and Stefan, and when we met, we bonded over the fact that we'd all faced discrimination in our previous workplaces and actually left companies because of it. Now, this was at the time of the Me Too movement, and we were thinking, how can we solve this? If we have this diverse set of skills, this diverse set of experiences, why can't we work together to solve this problem for people like us? So we set out to validate our idea. And this is where I loop back to being able to help you identify if you're ready for this. For me, it came down to these 3 things: evidence, stability with a $sign, and bandwidth. Evidence is evidence that you have a problem worth solving, so it's not just some wild idea that just came out of nowhere and has no actual base to it, and evidence that the idea that you have in your mind would actually solve that problem. Stability is the sort of financial runway to sustain yourself through the months and months of zero income from the startup, which we did, and bandwidth is the ability to dedicate some time, money, effort, really energy to pushing this startup forward, because founder life is a full-time gig. So for me, at that point at the end of 2017, it really came to it, and we spent a few months validating that idea, eventually left our jobs, and naturally moved in together like founders do. I actually wrote my resignation letter on the plane to my last corporate trip, and I can tell you it really felt like an incredible experience. I lost my mom in April of last year, and a week later, I moved in with the guys. It was an incredible experience, and we really learned how to be a strong team together, and that's what I mean by going all in on your team. Then we ended up, after Next 36, moving to Montreal for Techstars AI, and we hired 2 people, and that's where I learned how to be a manager, and it was totally different. We tried so hard to care for our employees' mental health, and one day, our engineer was like, please stop. You're telling me not to work after 6 o'clock. I want to work on the weekends. And we're like, really? You want to do that with us? Okay. And we were like, okay, we have to actually listen to people on our team and not just do what we think is best because of our own experiences. And this is the list of things that nobody ever told me I would need as a founder. But as a founder, you don't just need the pitch ability or the ability to get on stage or a strong founder gut. You really need to be honest, humble, transparent, willing to listen, and most importantly, you need to know what to ask your people and when to ask them. Because everybody's going through something like I went through. We all lose people, we all have mental health struggles, but it's hard to talk about them. And so that's our mission at Crescendo, is to help people talk about these hard things. But as founders, it's also our mission to help our employees feel like they belong in our workplace and feel like they can bring their whole selves to work. So we try our best to ask the right questions, get to know them as people, not just employees. When my mom passed away, I had a totally new way of looking at life, and I changed my personal mission to do everything with love. This is how I make all of my decisions. This is how I hire, how I work with people, how I choose which events to work with, and I'm really grateful to be here today. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this talk, it's that work and life don't always have to be so compartmentalized. Sometimes the things that you're facing at work can help you sort through and cope with the things that you're facing in your personal life. And sometimes the things that you're facing at home can help you to become a better manager, better founder, better employee, better teammate, and better person overall. Thank you. Wow, this is so special. And I would be happy to take any questions that you have.
Kind of an awkward one, but if you don't mind sharing, what's been the have there been any like significant difficulties moving in with your co-founders?
Well, my CEO was right there, so how much should I say to that? No, it was I wouldn't say it was difficult. It actually helped us to really sort out those personal challenges that you don't necessarily get to see when you work only in a 9-to-5 or in like a daytime setting. Living together, we became very close friends. And honestly, I feel like these guys are family to me now because we've been through everything. They were here for me when no one else really was. They saw me through, going through PTSD symptoms and like dealing with that deep, deep grief. And what it really gave us was the ability to work through those hard problems, wake up the next day, start afresh, always have this deep level of respect and trust for each other. So yeah, I would say it was completely worth it. It was amazing.
Hi, another question from here. Sorry, I need to stand up.
There you are.
A question around how do you go about selecting co-founders? I think the opportunity that you guys had was kind of serendipitous in the sense of you getting to Next 36 because you're a recent graduate, but I guess I'm not that young anymore. So I'm wondering what are the ways that I can think about trying to find co-founders?
I think going to events like this is a really great start because you have access to an incredible network of people who are driven. You're here on a Raps night. This is awesome. I think going to things like this, following up with connections and mastering that little 30-second pitch of your passion and sort of what your goals are, that helps you make those connections really fast, and then follow up with them for a coffee, a Skype chat, whatever it may be. And when you're actually choosing your founding team, make sure you have a good set of skills so you're balancing each other out. Because in our case, we all have distinct skill sets, distinct backgrounds. And that diversity on our core team really helped us to avoid a lot of the pitfalls in the early stages that we wouldn't have identified otherwise.
Cool. One last question.
Hey, Sage, thanks for your talk. Maybe give a few pointers on how you chose to apply to Techstars and Next 36 and what the accelerators have done for you guys.
Oh, okay, yeah. The accelerators, they were incredible. My decision to apply to Next 36 was an individual one because I didn't know my co-founders at the time. I decided to apply to that because I really was craving that change. It was that impact-driven thing that I was looking for, and I thought Next 36 would be a great way to accomplish the impact piece, but also learn how to actually be a founder, because I'd been steeped in corporate culture for so long. I don't know if I could have done it without that program, to be honest. And then Techstars, we applied when we didn't even have a product. We were very early. But one of our co-founders, Stefan, had been through it as an employee in the Boston program. And he just had so many amazing pieces of wisdom and knowledge that showed us the value of that program and the value of the network as well. And Montreal had opened up their Techstars AI program. And at the time we were looking at bias detection in text and all of this deep learning stuff. So we applied sort of on a whim, and we got in. We were like, wow, okay, now we have to hustle. Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Mom.